Week 12 was one for the books. It's been an entire season of fairly smooth sailing, but one costly injury that potentially changed the whole trajectory of our college football playoff conversation around our conference. Let's talk about Jordan Travis, the Florida State Seminoles, and Dino Babers getting packed up and shipped out of Syracuse.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Everybody, welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the pod from anywhere you listen, and make sure you head to our YouTube channel where you can look at our lovely faces each and every day and leave comments and join our community page where not only you can comment, but you can participate in our season-long He Said, She Said, Fans Said competition when we're doing ACC football power rankings. Kenton Gibbs here to help us talk through Week 12 and all that happened during that bad boy. It was a lot of stories coming out of that one, and we want to waste no time. Kenton, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good because I'm on the way. I got some plans for Thanksgiving. I got some plates to get. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the buffet buster and me going to come back out. I got back down to my playing weight, but we're going to get back above that coming up here pretty soon. So I'm geeked up. I'm geeked up for my favorite holiday, or one of my favorite holidays of the year.
I actually walked today because I wanted to ensure that, I had enough room, right? Enough calorie metabolism burning. I didn't just want to, sit and eat, kind of like a marathon, not a sprint for Thanksgiving, but I feel the vibes. I feel the energy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm doing my not patented because they're not mine, but the pyramid workouts this week too of 100 reps, 50, 25, 12, 6, 4, 2, and then going all the way back up to 100 because I'm finna eat. I'm finna tear somebody's crib down. You understand? Multiple cribs down, actually.
I understand. Let's talk about tearing down cribs. I'm pretty sure every Seminoles fan who watched at home this past weekend as their team faced Northern Alabama decided to tear up their household after that Jordan Travis injury, being down 13-3, not knowing where your team was going to rally and turn around. But man, yes, you got the win, but it was big finals energy because what did it cost you? College football playoffs is literally right there. I mean, you could not ask for a worse timing and a worse game for the Seminoles to have that happen, and all that since has transpired from it when we're talking about rankings, but we'll get to that in just a sec.
Absolutely. And this situation for the Noles is simple. Win and you're in. You've got to win out. You've got to win the conference championship. You've got to beat Florida coming up this week, and you're in. That's it.
But wait, Kenton, I just am confused as to, ain't that what they've been doing? So, why is it all of a sudden? How do you lose positioning? We're supposed to be talking about Jordan Travis, so let's stay here. Jordan Travis's injury is that grave to where the committee said, all right, let's write these guys off. Instead of intake, we trust.
But we have we not been saying how special Jordan Travis is all season? How he has led this offense through injuries to multiple positions. Those two freaks of nature at receiver out, doesn't matter. He still just keeps this offense on pace, keeps them rolling and all that. We've talked about it all season. So we can't be surprised when we talk about how special he is. And to be honest, I believe that Jordan Travis very seriously should have been in New York before this. Very seriously. And it's your heart really goes out to the young man.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Such a season for the program.
Right.
Such a season for him personally.
Mm-hmm.
A season where, again, other than the first game of the season against LSU, I hadn't seen him struggle much due to him. You know what I'm saying? There weren't a lot of struggles where I'm like, Jordan, what are you doing, man? Mm-hmm. Against LSU, there were a couple plays like that. But for the entirety for the rest of the year, any struggles you had, I mean, his wide receivers were injured. Some folks were struggling to get open. The offensive line wasn't necessarily giving them a great time. But for the most part, outside of that, immaculate at protecting the ball, immaculate at knowing when to take a shot. And so,
but trying to do everything for the team and then like having that one run cost you is just like, it's sickening. And the 2013 team was there. James Winston was there honoring. It's just like all the things, right? You had everybody praying and all of that. You hate that for such a young man who's been such a leader for that program, especially on a season that is going to be special. But, all that you can do is really put the team on your back, which that, offense did, and defense certainly showed up. But it's now sort of a where do you go from here? Because, again, falling in the rankings to me is wild. To me, that's so disrespectful. But I hear your point, as Jordan Travis was such an important piece.
At the end of the day, winning, you're in. Yeah. Winning, you're in. If you look at the rankings and what people are saying, first thing first, let's say that. Let's talk about this. Those are the AP polls that are out. So congratulations. Yeah. The AP polls can say whatever they want to say. But baby, the way that this thing work out, the way that it works out now at this particular point in time, it doesn't matter what the AP thinks anymore. It really doesn't matter. So if we're moving from that standpoint and we say, okay, what's going on in terms of the top 25 or what's going on in terms of who's ranked where, the reality is very simple. These teams at Michigan and Ohio State have to play each other. Mm-hmm. Only one of those teams will then go on to get a chance to become the conference champion. The reality is the winner of that game is going to win the conference championship. The Big Ten West has nothing for either one of those teams.
Sure.
One of those teams is going to lose that game this Saturday. So they're out. You move them down. Washington and Oregon, they've got to play again. One of those teams has to lose that game. Somebody's going to be out, which, with all due respect, I know everybody loves Bo Nix and thinks he's that guy. Penix is actually the guy out there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. But that's neither here nor there.
New York Giants, if you're listening. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. The reality is this is a situation where Florida State just win. Just win. Don't worry about it.
And not impossible to win, right? Like Florida, very easy to beat them. Louisville will very much be a challenge, though. I'm not going to hold you. However,
depending on which Jack Plummer you get, it could be the fight for your life, or it could be hey, we got it made in the shade, baby. He's just throwing it to garnet jerseys everywhere.
Miami was one play away. I'm trying to tell you. So I really genuinely think that they have nothing but W's in front of them, but it is tough to see because the Seminoles were having such a great year.
I mean, I don't understand why you would. Here's the thing, right? If they finish undefeated, you can't keep them out, right? And when they go, if they're undefeated, I mean, we've seen this story play out before with Cardale Jones. We've seen this story come out with this unheralded backup or this guy who, people aren't really sure about. Oh, man, the starter is this guy that's been playing for forever and he's beloved and all that good stuff. Hey, the other guy could come in and perform. No,
Tate can get busy now. I seen a couple TikToks, couple dance moves. Like Tate know what he need to do.
But the thing is, this is not. So, and I hate to keep jumping out of conference because this is Locked On ACC, right? Okay. But this ain't LSU with Jaden Daniels. Like, you don't need to do everything for this team to be good. You don't need to do that. This is not, Washington with Penix to some extent, although I think they still be good with an average quarterback in there. This is a team that is stacked, that is loaded. Brother, can you throw a jump ball to the outside? Because you got 6'7" over here. And you got 6'4" that's better than 6'7" on the other side. Now let's work it out. Oh, and by the way, down the middle, you got some guy named Jaheim Bell or something like that, some tight end that just always seems to be open and catching the ball.
Got a couple in the backfield that you could just toss to if you need to,
Exactly.
Trey Benson, all the things.
So you're not looking at a situation where this is like Lamar with Louisville, and it's like, brother, it's on you. You got to make this happen. If you don't do it, it ain't going to get done, okay? Sure. This is a situation where you can win a natty as a game manager here, in terms of tape.
Let's talk about that. We definitely have some conversations around that and to be had for sure. Listening.com is an app that turns academic papers, textbooks, PDFs, websites, and emails into audio so you can listen to them on the go. Instead of sitting at a desk to read, our app frees you up so you can learn from anywhere. Listening.com is the best app in the world for listening to academic material. You can read math equations, automatically skip citations and footnotes, and can pronounce difficult technical words. Their features include one-click note-taking, automatic chapter detection, data tables, and more. Their users are 50% PhDs, 30% college students, and 20% working professionals. Let's make sure that you are all set and ready to go with our friends at Listening.com. All you have to do is go to listening.com/lockedon. You'll be able to get your first 3 weeks for free. Go ahead and give it a try. Usually 2 weeks free, but you can get an extra free week when you when you go to listening.com/lockedon. Listen, at the end of the day, all you have to do is get yourself prepared and ready, and listening.com/lockedoncollege will help you do so. We're rocking and rolling through Locked On ACC today. We're talking through Jordan Travis injury, what that means for the Noles, and then more importantly, the Georgia Tech win and what that meant for Syracuse. As Dino Babers, it came out breaking news from Pete Thamel that Syracuse no longer has a head coach, which we've talked about all season. We sort of knew it could be a thing. There were some key losses that just made it impossible to not look away from that fact. But as you said many a times, Kenton, what does Syracuse expect? Because it's not like he's not getting wins. It's not like he's not getting bowl opportunities, but it's just something to be said, for not, I guess, elevating the program or making it a consistent 7 to 8 win season. Who knows? But I think the expectation for, ADs, presidents, boosters, all of that, alumni, all that fun stuff. Like, they just start to get these maybe unrealistic expectations for what their program can be based on flashes of goodness. And maybe that's what happened here at Syracuse. But all in all, only had 2 winning seasons while he was there. Syracuse is looking for its new head coach.
Okay. So here's the thing. I want to make something clear for people who are saying like, hey, Dino Babers was great there, or he did a great job, or whatever the case may be, or he was terrible there, whatever the case. He was a completely average Syracuse head coach, right? Sure. So what do I mean?
Was he an average Syracuse coach or average head coach?
He was an average Syracuse head coach. I wouldn't give him average head coach overall because, objectively, no. You kind of can't get away with this stuff at any other school to this extent. But let's look at it this way, shall we? So what we have in Dino in terms of who he has been for this program and what he has done is you have a guy that is now 41 and 55 overall, okay? So you're well below 500, but let's look at all of Syracuse's head coaches' winning percentages, shall we?
Okay.
Scott Schaefer, 38%. Doug Marrone, 50%. Greg Robinson, 21%. Paul Pasqualani, 64%. Dick McPherson, 59%. And then Frank Maloney, 41%. So, and that's going back to 1974. So what am I saying here, right? Mm-hmm. The objective reality of Syracuse football, if you want to talk about, hey, from 81 up through 04, we were really good. Sure. Yeah. But the reality is that was a very long time ago. And ever since the advent of the iPhone, you've been meh.
College football has changed exponentially since
then.
But
with that being said, I can understand the want for something better. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm saying with Dino, I'm not that he was the greatest coach in the world. I'm not that he was the worst coach in the world. He was the average of what you saw from Syracuse coaches in recent football history there. They're just meh.
But
7 years of man is enough.
Sure. But my biggest thing is like, what more do y'all want in terms of like, do you want an exciting young coach who gets it? He's young, hip, and like can really recruit. Do you want a coach that's really into the NIL stuff? Do you want a coach that's old school and can like really bring you back to your roots? Like, what is it that I feel like a Syracuse program might be looking for? Because at best in your conference, you're not that great. And then nationally speaking, you're not that competitive. What do you want?
I think the thing is they just want wins. They just want more wins than 5 or 6 a season.
Now, do you want wins or do you want wins against good teams? Because you can get the wins. You can play. What's your favorite school?
Oh, the Island of Misfit Toys University.
You can get wins every year, right? Sometimes you might struggle against a Central Michigan or a Western Michigan or, a Bumble F Michigan or something like that. But if you get a Clemson upset every now and then, if you get an NC State close one and it goes in your favor, or Wake Forest, upset, are you more content because you're competitive within your conference? So what is it really? Is it more I need conference wins to say that I can keep this coach around, or is that I need wins in general?
But
Be
I mean,
specific.
Even if we look at Dino and what he's done recently, shall we?
Sure.
Over the last 4 years in conference, let's look at these conference records, because you talked about playing teams in conference close and pulling off some upsets. 2020, 1-9. 2021, 2-6. 2022, 4-4. 2023, so far, 1-6. So, I mean, objectively speaking,
you had to go.
You haven't done enough in conference. I get it.
He did it to himself.
I'm not mad at it. Yeah,
it's when he did that Clemson upset that everyone said, oh, tides are turning. He's changing this program around. We're about to have a very competitive conference program. And that just didn't come to pass.
I think without that year, he's going even sooner. I think that year bought him a couple years. I think
100%. The fact, I think he was out last year had he not got that 6-0 start.
And
I don't know how you stayed after that finish.
I'll tell you what, it was that season was a tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Okay?
They got to Gotham real quick.
Listen, okay? it got nasty in there. But I mean, again, this is a situation where I believe it was Baylor's head coach Dave Aranda who said, once you start seeing commercials with bows on cars, you know that some coaches are going to be looking for jobs pretty soon. And this is no different. This is one of those casualties that's very blah. Like, with all due respect, and I know that, Dino Babers is a real human being. His family is going to experience real loss, real having to tighten the belt and all that. Because I get that. The
coaching staff, sure.
And yes, and all the other coaches on the staff. But the reality is, in the grand scheme of things for college football, this is a very, even in this grand scheme of the ACC, it's very, didn't do terrible.
Sure. Two sides of this, though. If you're Dino, what do you do next? Do you go for another head coaching job, maybe at a lower school? Do you try and really hone in on defense? Do you try and hone in on offense? What do you do if you're Dino? Where do you go next? And then what does Syracuse do?
I mean, here's the thing. Dino has proven that at the lower levels, that man can cook. That's just the reality, right?
He's a good coach.
At Eastern Illinois and Bowling Green, in the 4 seasons combined, he went 37-16 with a conference record of 26-5 overall. So the man can cook, right? Like, this isn't a terrible coach that just doesn't know what he's doing.
Sure.
However, this is also a situation where, you ask yourself, what does the next coaching job look like if you are going to become a head coach again? Is it maybe time to maybe go back to being a coordinator for a bit until, you can kind of reestablish, okay, I figured out this thing that works. I figured out this offensive identity that works, because there's going to be, just like you're not the only coach to lose your job. There's going to be new coaches coming
100%.
in. And you definitely, the reality is, head coaches aren't the only ones to get fired. We saw mid-season Deion Sanders fire his offensive coordinator. We've seen plenty of times offensive and defensive coordinators get told that they're not going to be bought back. Dino is an offensive guy. So, there's going to be plenty of job offers available to him in terms of, hey, we'd love for you to come coach up our offense. And I think him coaching offense at being an offensive coordinator at the Power 5, I don't think that's a bad move for him. I don't think that's a bad move.
I think people don't understand how hard the head coaching job is and how challenging it is to be the head honcho and have to lead so many groups of men and try and, get whatever sort of discipline or system or theme to your liking to kind of roll out and trickle down to everybody that they're bought in. It's extremely challenging. Hey, go thrive, get a couple million less, be a great coordinator going back your way, or just chill for a little bit, ride the tide. I think for Syracuse, though, you get someone who's young and vibrant, who's excited about being at Syracuse, maybe has some sort of tie there or, near the city, who can recruit really well. And I think you get some rejuvenation bought back into that fan base.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I'll say this. For Syracuse, I'm going to just say this. It doesn't matter how it comes. Just get wins.
Yeah.
If you got to go with a Steve Adazio to bring it back super old school, and like, hey, we're going to get backs that are 220 pounds in high school. We're going to beef them up to 240. We're going to run 6 offensive linemen, but we're going to win 8-9 games a year. If you got to go super new school, if you got to get a what's the young man's name that he was at LSU and then he followed Matt Rule to Carolina? Joe Brady, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got to get a Joe, not saying exactly Joe Brady, not saying him. You know what I mean? But I mean in that vein of very new school, very up-tempo, very spread it out and all this. Whatever you do, as long as it results in wins, and keep your grubby little fingers away from my defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson, okay? You keep your hands right where they at. No.
I don't know if I would see a Tony in Syracuse, but I definitely feel like he's going to get some calls going into this season.
All right. You better find him.
Let's talk about our friends here at FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel and America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you're thinking about getting FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off your winning NFL season. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. How about them Lions? You know?
I mean, listen, you know what I
Since
mean?
1962, huh?
Life is good. Life is good. Life is good in the city.
Were you bought into the Dan Campbell experiment?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like let me tell you this. I tell people all the time, this winning covers over a multitude of sins. And when he first came in talking about biting kneecaps and all that, I'm like, oh, this is different. This is different. But I knew it couldn't get worse than Matt Patricia because, I'm not accusing the Patriots of being cheaters or anything because I know a lot of Boston College fans watch this show. But it's very odd to me that he has the worst coaching tree in NFL history. Not a single other great coach has a coaching tree that has performed as poorly at as many places as Bill Belichick.
Maybe he did some sacrificial offerings or something.
Maybe it's, a lot of people are saying, well, it's just Tom Brady and he all these teams can't have Tom Brady, and that's fine. But there still is something to be said about your coaches struggling everywhere that they've gone. Josh McDaniels is allegedly the worst coach in NFL history. You have Matt Patricia, who took a Lions team that was actually winning. That's what people don't realize. The Lions had a winning record. We're not going to go there. Long story short, I'm excited that Dan Campbell got us winning games. You know what I mean? The city up, baby. The city up.
Woo, well, the Giants beat the Commanders for the second time, so I'll take that. But, we talk about our favorite teams. There's a lot to be said about Week 12, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Our two teams, North Carolina and NC State, I hate, to be those people, but we're going to go through the whole Week 12. He said, she said, fans said. We will do that for you tomorrow because we want to give enough time, but I had to talk about Jordan and Dino. However, it had to be said, right? In a year where everyone wrote off NC State, everyone was super high on North Carolina. To have North Carolina lose to Clemson, drop out of top 25, deservedly so. Right. To have NC State go up to Lane Stadium and beat them so handedly, their last game in Lane Stadium for the year, and to now be 8-3, right? When nobody felt like that was possible for them. It's just a tale of two total turns of events, which sets up for a Thanksgiving. Man, if you're in Carter Finley, you better have a DD because it's going to be a wild time type of energy.
And not only that, if you look at the totality of everything we're seeing around the conference, I mean, how many other games are going to be really good in this last week?
Absolutely.
Like, you've got Florida and Florida State with the loss of Jordan Travis. That could be a good one. Louisville, Kentucky probably shouldn't be good. With all due respect, Devin Leary is not delivering at Kentucky at this point in time. So that game shouldn't be too much of a difficulty for Louisville. You've got Georgia Tech going in the Georgia team that, that rivalry is called clean old-fashioned hate, but I think that's going to be a clean old-fashioned blowout, much as I love Key. I don't think that one's going to be very
It's going to be good till it isn't, and I mean that in the first five, I wouldn't even give 10. First five, it might look competitive. Might get punched in the mouth, and you might see that break in your game where it's like, don't look now. But, in Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech goes up by a touchdown. that's cute, right? It's still
Yeah.
3 quarters left to play type energy.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the only games, and this is shocking because we talked about these two teams like they was the dirtiest, most lowliest, most dogged team, and yet they're looking like they're gonna give us one of the only good games of the weekend. The Commonwealth Cup, right? The battle of the Commonwealth, the battle for the Commonwealth, rather. That's gonna be the one that we're looking at saying, man, this Virginia Tech game. Virginia Tech's playing for they're playing for a bowl game. And Virginia's playing for pride. But I'll tell you what, this Virginia team has played well for some pride as of late. Okay?
And what better way to get a W than to spoil your opponents or your arch rivals?
Your rivals going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
You know? Like I always say, if you can't get into the party, a lot of people say the next best thing is throw a turd in the punch bowl. And that's what they could do for Virginia Tech. That's what they could do for Virginia Tech.
Who says that? That's disgusting.
That is a very common saying. It's basically saying that, like, oh, if I can't go to a bowl or if I can't get into a game, I'm going to be the spoiler.
I understand the analogy, but that's disgusting. Like
that's been a saying for a while.
Throw some poison in the punch. You know what I mean? Like you spoil the party for everybody.
Kill nobody. Yeah, you want to spoil the party, but not kill nobody.
Poison. What's the one where you like make everybody's stomach hurt, but not kill them.
Visine. If you put a couple of drops of Visine in something, it'll make people like.
That ain't what I was thinking, but okay, good to know.
My bad. I learned that from Wedding Crashers. I learned it from
one where it makes people's stomach. It's like a laxative, you put a laxative in that thing, and everybody has a little milk of magnesia. I'm talking about the mac and cheese.
But that's another thing. Like, you don't realize, like, it sounds innocuous. That could kill somebody. Like, that could
milk of magnesia?
Yes.
Can kill somebody?
Yes.
No, Kenton, you read your man.
Okay, all right. I'm trying. Candace, we had a sitting U.S. president die of diarrhea. Like, that's a real thing. That used to be a thing back in the day. If a person doesn't know that, like, oh, I need to get fluids in me, they could be out the game because you was playing around with the punch. My punches, people gonna look at it and be like, ew, gross. I don't want that punch anymore. Your punch, these folks is laying out dead on the side of the road. I'm just saying, say what you want. Say what you want. But anywho,
I'm trying to be. I'm trying to get it back. That's why UNC
NC State is one of the games that, while the conference championship scenarios are out the window for both of these teams.
Hold up, because someone definitely tried to report our page because we said Louisville was going to the championship game, and they was like, "Oh, y'all are reporting missing false information, doing all things." I was like, just because we knew what we knew, y'all could just relax. Sorry. Sorry.
Wait a minute, Candace. You picked Louisville to beat Miami, correct?
No, I picked Miami.
Oh, you didn't. Okay.
I
picked Louisville to beat Miami. I picked Louisville to beat Miami. I knew what was going to happen.
I felt like in my heart of hearts, but boy, no, I'm not even going to get into that. We talk about it anymore because Tyler Van Dyke done pissed me off.
I knew what was going to happen in that game. I knew.
He didn't throw an interception. He just threw a bad pass.
I knew what was going to happen with Virginia Tech and NC State. I knew. Listen, I love drones.
Did you know?
I love drones. That's a bad boy.
If you ever heard inkling.
If you ever hear me talk about quarterback, I don't know what it is about them quarterbacks for Virginia Tech. I was high on Hendon Hooker. I'm super high on drones. I have been telling everybody, beating the table ever since his second or third start that, hey, he one of them ones. He's going to shake up the conference this year. But I
didn't know Brendan Armstrong was going to do that. So hush.
But here's what I did know. That what Virginia Tech does best is what? Run the ball. Drones and tooting. Up the middle, left, right, fake a pitch, pull it, do whatever. Them running the ball is their bread and butter. I knew they wasn't going to run the ball on NC State, with all due respect. They just don't have the horses in the stable for that. They're a little too light in the behind up front for that. So I said, okay, this ain't going to go well for them, and they're not going to be in. UNC going into Death Valley, child, please stop playing with me.
First of all, they almost won that game had that refs not called that touchdown.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, NC State almost beat Louisville.
That wasn't a fumble.
NC State that was a fumble.
Louisville, you thought that was a fumble?
Listen, all I'm saying is this.
But see, like that's the thing. You can't. You're giving hater energy. You can't call a spade a spade. You're giving hater energy. You can't call a spade a spade.
I think it was absolutely a fumble. But even beyond that, whether or not I think that was a fumble, I knew the chances of UNC going into Death Valley as it is and getting that win Very slim.
14 points
Very
on the
slim.
board. They had it. They could have, but we don't live in the past. All we can do is live with what we have. And who knew North Carolina and NC State were going to be the games of the week? Who knew?
Exactly. And so this week, this game is probably going to be one of our better rivalry games because there's so much riding on the line here. Both of these teams
goes to the Popeye Chicken Bowl and who goes to the New York Paint Drip, Bear Bowl. You know? This is where we're at with it.
And I'm gonna tell you what, both of these teams have something special on the line in terms of. I don't think either one of these teams have hit double digit times that they've hit double-digit wins in the season. I don't think either football program has done that. So both of these teams still have that on the table. North Carolina's won 8 games so far this year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, NC State has as well. So you're looking at a situation where, again, after that Duke game for NC State, I don't know what happened. But them boys, they got it together. They got it right. And so both of these teams have 10-win season ahead of them. It's a ton to play for there. It is so much to play for there. And with that being said, this is going to be one of them ones that you look up at and you say, when these two team seasons are talked about, it's defined by this game more than any other. People will forget that NC State currently has the second longest winning streak in the conference. They currently
could care less about that.
People will forget if you lose this game.
If North Carolina goes into Raleigh and wins, won't matter.
People will forget that UNC was a top 10 team, talked about in the playoff conversation. Drake May was talked about in the Heisman conversation. People will forget. You go into Raleigh and whoop the wheels off them boys, but all of a sudden, what a season that 2023 was, I'll tell you. Boy. That Drake kid, that May blood runs strong with the Carolina Blue. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah, 1,000%. We have got week 12 to go over. We have got power rankings to provide you. It's going to be a great week. And then we're going to enjoy our Thanksgiving. So you want to come back because we've got 3 powerful punching episodes to drop before we get some turkey. So make sure you come on back for that. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs. Until next time.